Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you this morning? Hope that you're doing well. And on this gray day with some little bit of humidity and some rain, kind of a nice relief, even though we've had some beautiful weather these days. Hope everybody's doing well, and that today is a blessing to you on this Tuesday. Hey, Vicky. Morning, John. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Morning, everybody. Good morning. Got our little much coveted no one can water like God. Oh, that's a perfect. That's good. That's good for this morning. So, all right, let's get going this morning. Hello, everybody. Glad you're here. It is the 23rd day of July. We are almost done with July. We have a week left to it. 23rd day of July here at 11:11, and I'm glad you're with us. I'm glad you're a part of this. Jean, good morning to you. That I hope this is a great and beautiful day for you all. Uh, what a crazy 10 days it's been, huh? If you're listening to this out of sync or outside of our liveness, just to remember that in the past 10 days, President Trump was shot, that President Biden is seemingly ill, the internet seems to be broken, at least in some fashion, enough for people to be able to get on airplanes, because there are still people in major travel hubs all over the country that are stuck there for days on end because of some programming trouble. There is uncertainty all over the place. You can kind of feel the questions and feel the shifts around all of this stuff, and and that's and it is one of these moments. I feel like that when I equate it to when I was diving. I was a commercial diver for a while, and one of the things you would do as a commercial diver is you'd pump concrete underwater. I know it's kind of crazy, but you can do it. It's kind of cool, different densities and stuff. And so, if you're trying to fix a bridge and there's a hole in the bridge underwater, you can actually go down with a little piece of with a little hose and some concrete, and you can kind of get in the hole and you can kind of pump up, and we would do that, and you go down there and tung, 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 tung. But as you might imagine, you're underwater and you can only have so much visibility to begin with. But then the moment you say, okay, start pumping the concrete, everything goes black or everything goes gray, that you literally lose, you're at zero visibility. And the ability to see what's actually going on around you becomes much more of a feel sort of thing that you could. I remember one time we were doing just that, pumping concrete underwater, and I began to it was one of the first times I did it, and began to feel the warm around you, and I began to realize that I was actually standing in the void that I was pumping concrete in. It was beginning to rise up around me, and that if you don't know, when concrete cures, it's actually a chemical reaction is what it's doing when it's hardening. So it actually gets warm. There's heat to it, and so I could feel it begin to get warm around me, and I was like, okay, well, perhaps I'll readjust. But all of this happening without being able to see anything, without just being blind in the midst of all that's going on around me, and to begin to work which was all an exercise of working by feel, and that this I think there's this way in which we need to kind of lean back into that a bit, into this notion of what it means to work by feel. Because the reality is that we are in kind of a wilderness space. We are in kind of where we may be building something, but we're not even sure quite how it's all coming together. And we are, the ability to see the way ahead, to see what we're doing, we don't really have it. We don't really know it. We really can't see the way ahead, but we know where the task, but we know that we have a task to do, and we're there. In the Bible, there's a really lovely story arc. Well, lovely is maybe a wrong word to put it, but there's an arc to the story. There's an arc to the story that two people lost in the wilderness. They go to they have some kids. Then the world gets in trouble. Then God hits the reset button with Noah, and then Abraham comes along and goes to the promised land, and again on and on and on and on and on, until Israel becomes a great nation. And in the process of becoming a great nation, they kind of lose their way. They lose their ability to see where God is at work in the world and what God is up to in the world. They find themselves kind of like me in the void, unable to see anything. Maybe a bit like us. But for the Israelites, they kind of lost their connection and lost their way with God. And that's when we find the book of Isaiah. Because we have this nice little arc, we have this nice narrative. Now, there aren't always nice things happening in it. It's always a struggle, but you get to Isaiah, and it stops being a story. Like, I don't care what you say about the book of Isaiah. Those who say there's a neat thread of narrative through it just haven't read it, because it's not the way the book plays out. Right smack dab in the middle of the whole thing, he is seemingly all of these different injunctions from God, condemnations from God. This is bad, that's bad. The narrative arc is completely lost in the story of the Bible. I mean, you can piece it together a little bit here and there. The day King Uzziah, the year King Uzziah died. I mean, we get some markings, we get some pinpoints, some points along the way. But the idea of telling the stories of David or the stories of Solomon are all gone. And now we find ourselves in this time of incredible chaos in Isaiah, right in the middle of the story. Right in the middle of the story, we lose the story. And I think this is a lot like life. And in the 43rd chapter of Isaiah, in the 19th verse, he says, he gets to this point where he says, where God tips his hand about what is going on with all this. He says, "See, I am doing a new thing. I am making a way in the wilderness." All right, that might not mean a lot to us in the world, but today, where we kind of get on 24, and I mean 24 can be pretty wild, but it's not wilderness. We do have the ability to drive down it. We have ways of getting around. We have roads and ways of which to navigate them. But for people who there was no way in the wilderness, that the wilderness was truly this impenetrable thing. To go into the wilderness was the place without water in the ancient world. It was a place without security. It was a place without even the ability to really know where you're going, because that the ancients were such that even to know where you not even just to know where you were, but to know where you were headed, like what village was out there, but that the only place of any security was really on the roads. And even that was touchy. But to be in the wilderness, that was the place of the wild things. When he says, "I am making a way in the wilderness." And when we find our lives, we find our world in this place of the wilderness. Our world is a wilderness today. That when I was underwater, pumping concrete, unable to see, I was in a wilderness. Because I couldn't see a way ahead. There was no way ahead. There was no place there. I defy you. The world is full of people who are going to busy telling you what's going to happen next in our political sphere, in our economic sphere, in our internet sphere, like how all this is going to resolve itself, how it's going to get fixed, or how it's going to break for the people who like to doom scroll and doomsay. But the reality is nobody knows. Nobody knows. And that gives us a choice. I tell you all of that to bring us to this place of saying we can look at the Bible and look at the story that God gives us about his grace and his love for us. Give it the word and the way for us to connect with that. And at the center of the greatest piece of chaos in the narrative, the greatest piece of what's going on, what does he declare to us? He says, see, I am doing a new thing, and I am making a way in the wilderness. And that's where we find ourselves, friends. Will we declare in this second and this hour and this day and this week and in this month and in this year, as we walk through it and as we look through it, will we every second of the way, as we engage the chaos of this world, will we declare Isaiah 43:19, see, God is doing a new thing. And God owns it. He says, I am doing a new thing. I am making a way in the wilderness. Even though you can't see, it doesn't mean something isn't being worked out. Even though you can't know, that doesn't mean something isn't coming. My favorite Beatle, George Harrison, said that the dawn is good at knowing when to come. I just love that line. That the dawn is good at knowing when to come. If we can't, the first promise of God is to let there be light. It's his first promise to us. Is that whatever in darkness, whatever we can't see, it's going to work itself out. Our question, and the living of our days is, will we hold on to this declaration and this truth, this reality that God gives us, that I'm doing a new thing in the middle of the chaos, and that is making a way in the middle of that which seems impenetrable and seems only death. I'm going to leave you with the great C.S. Lewis today, because I think this is at the heart of what we're talking about. That we may not have seen the events of these last 10 days coming, or maybe you did and you're super smart, or you certainly don't know even what the events of the next 10 days ahead of us are going to be. But what we can know is that in every movement, in every heartbeat, in every breath we draw, in every stoplight we get stopped at, in every time that we lose our keys and find ourselves 5 minutes late, in every movement of things in this world and in our life, the Lord's providence is at work. The Holy Spirit is working with us. And doing what? See, I am doing a new thing, making a way in the wilderness. I want you to hear Lewis's words today. Most of us continue to believe that human life takes place in an atmosphere of luck and accident. We consider divine providence as something, distant, almost impossible, really. Yet the truth is God's miracle, the unexpected and surprising act of his hand, is present every moment of our existence. And it is precisely when we least expect it that he acts in unimaginable ways, proving that his power is beyond our understanding and our expectation. Friends, God is doing a new thing in your life. God is doing a new thing in the world. God is doing a new thing and is leading us through the wilderness. Look for the divine providence of God and look for the movement of the Spirit in your life and in the world. And if you can help it, but know But know that just because you didn't see it coming, that just because the water in which we swim is obscured with the dust of the day, that just because there is this way that we can see only trees and only wolves and only things that would devour us, that does not mean God has abandoned us. It means that there is a new thing coming. And that in that unexpected moment and in that unimaginable way, God is proving his power is beyond our understanding and our expectation. All right. Peace and grace to you, my friends, as we ride out and experience this incredible time. And we will pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.